There is no spirituality, no religion, no civilization, no financial thoughts, no economics, nothing that survives the 2 billion years.
And so it was we found ourselves scrubbing tape to our knuckles, preparing to knock some teeth out of people's mouths.
Well, howdy. Nearly Senior Citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this brand new day. Yay! I talked a couple weeks back. I can't tell if it was 1 or 5 because of my brain, but I mentioned that it was getting warm, and I was having to really turn on fans to sleep, and I wasn't going to be wearing any of my long sleeve shirts as jackets anymore. One day it was warm. It has been hailing and snowing and cold, and yeah, I'm freezing all the time. Part of it is just my age and all that. And part of it is because I used to weigh a lot more. Not immense, but a lot more. And part of it is just because it's cold. So, thumbs up for that. Anyway, though, I am surviving, and if you are watching this, you are surviving. That's a good thing. And of course, front-loading of videos. Thank you, YouTube algorithms. Hey, if you could toss me a like, that'd be very cool. If you could subscribe to the channel, that'd be awesome. If you could leave me a comment, I read every comment, thumbs up each one I do, which again is all of them, and answer as many as my executive dysfunction will allow. And I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. These literally beautiful and awesome people are literally beautiful and literally awesome. Definitely good people. I like surviving. I know my pets, my cat and my hamster, like surviving. And without the help of these people, well, survival would be a lot more difficult, if not impossible. If you would like to help me survive, I have links to my various things in the video shown or description. Thumbs up for that. I am having a lot of salivation problems today, since after all my teeth have been yanked out and I walk around with 2 chunks of plastic in my mouth a lot. Well, what did the old samurai used to do to fool their bodies when they were out and couldn't drink? You put pebbles in your mouth, so you salivate around that and you fool your body into thinking that you're drinking. I have 2 large plastic pebbles in my mouth. I am salivating a lot today. Joy. Past that though, just stuff there on my list, and of course yesterday I had not only therapy every Thursday, well not every Thursday because of timing and real life, but I have generally therapy every Thursday, and I had my med manager appointment yesterday. My therapist is of course, he's pleased that I'm dealing well with being smacked by the trucks of life now. I'm doing better than I was years ago when I first started therapy. And that's good. We talked about this, that, and the other. And I mentioned how somebody in some comment somewhere had mentioned that my whole ADHD situation, probably Florimel, maybe, was like a whole Flowers for Algernon situation. And if you've never heard of the story of Flowers for Algernon, it is an old story. Like, we're coming up on maybe 100 years old. But, it's still halfway modern tech, just no computers in stories like that, because they took place in the 40s and the 50s. But it's a story about a guy whose intelligence is way low, to the point that when people laugh at him, he laughs with them and he thinks that they're his friends, even though they're doing things like knocking over his stuff, kicking him, tripping him, and then laughing at him. He gets involved with a process where he becomes smart, and this mouse becomes smart. He's a genius. He can write books that even theoretical mathematicians are having troubles even comprehending. And then the mouse loses it and dies. And then he can feel his intelligence being drained out of his head, and at the end of it, he's just a bumbling, happy idiot again. And yeah, that's the way I feel. I talked about this with my therapist and all. The way I feel, the way I could think. For the first time in my life, I could think halfway normally. And now, I can remember that I could, but I can't even remember what it felt like. I only know that it felt wonderful, and I can't reach it anymore, and that hurts. So, talking to my med manager, there are a couple different options. We do not know if the VA is going to cover one of these types of meds, but there is one that's more for hyperactive, too fidgety, which I don't have, but in a way I kind of do. I've always been a vibrate my leg sort of person when I'm sitting, something happening, fidgety, active like that. This med actually lowers your blood pressure. It makes you tired. You take it before you go to bed, and then the effect lasts during the daytime. So if the VA will pay for that, we're going to try it, see if that helps. Because I want to be able to think like a normal person again. I want to be able to think. I want to be able to remember things again. I can't remember what it felt like. I only know that I could do it and that it was wonderful. But as depressing as my situation, especially to me, sounds, I am doing as well as I can optimistically. I am not, depressed. Well, I am depressed. I have biochemical depression, and that makes it easy for other things to affect me. But because of the behavioral training I went through during my alcoholic years and remembering all that, whenever I have things like negative cycles of thought, I'm able to break those and I can get out of that. The worst part of it is when I have the negative feelings with no thoughts attached to them. So there's nothing for me to break. That's the biochemical part that's fun. But dealing with all that, there's hope, so we're going to see what's happening. So thumbs up on that. I tried to do many things yesterday, could only do a few. I did a recording on the game Rot. I had to cheat and use ammo because I just didn't have any ammo to get past the spot that I was in because I'd been an idiot the previous times. But then I've run through the game all the way through. First at a medium difficulty to show people what the game is like, and then at max difficulty. And I beat it on max difficulty. Yay! Very cool. But over on my list here, I do want to talk about a couple things, like my creative stuff. I've been thinking about it and I can't remember things because they bounce out of my head, but I've got some stuff written down on my list. Like, number one, this is a big thing that I've wanted to talk about ever since I've been thinking about it, of course. I've wondered about deep time and deep space and all these things because what can survive that? I talk roughly of deep time. Even on the human experience, we think of deep time as like, oh, how are we going to tell people 100,000 years in the future? No, deep time is, far longer than that. We are still lost in the noise and the lights of the expansion of the universe, the Big Bang. If anyone in far off in the future was able to look back in time, you wouldn't be able to see us. We're still lost in the glare of the it's not an explosion, but the expansion. We're still too close to the beginning. Deep time is far off. In our universe, it's like when, we're only like 13 point something billion years into all this. Think of what it's going to be like when it's not just a trillion years, but it's a trillion years made up where each year is another trillion years. So it's a trillion years where each year is a trillion years that way. And that's nothing. As long as there's something, time will continue. Even that, a trillion years made up of a trillion years is just going to be effectively 1 second to the length of time everything will last. Deep time is terrifying. Just like deep space. Space is huge. Frighteningly huge. Which ties back to Razor's Edge and all that. Because as I have mentioned, that there is a 3 billion year cycle on the Razor's Edge that the Kaiju itself manages to live through. But for 1 billion years, the doors are open between the inside and the outside with energy flowing freely through. At this point, these are the years of plenty and the Kaiju is able to feed with just no issues. And then there's the time of want. A billion years after intelligence has faded from the outside, and the doors, after a billion years, when the effects has faded enough, they shut. And then for a billion years, the kaiju has to start feeding itself carefully because no more people, no more energy flowing through. There is now a finite amount of human beings to fill its belly with. And then there's the time of torpor, a billion years when there is no intelligence, and the kaiju itself there is the state of death. And then there is the kaiju's torpor, which is one tick above that. That is the point where the kaiju is at for 1 billion years. And even at that, when it reaches the end and the energy starts to flow again and it wakes up, it frequently is cannibalizing itself from hunger. Because even just that one tick up from just death, it's a long time, 1 billion years. And it has lived through this. The only thing that can survive deep time on the razor's edge, the only thing in all of this entire universe, the kaiju. The time of want, well, the time of plenty, the time of want, the time of torpor. But during that time, of course, during the time of torpor, the entirety of the razor's edge becomes indifferentiated gray space. During the 2 billion years, the time of plenty and the time of want, when there are human beings there, I've mentioned that there's things like no magic because there's just science. Particularly advanced science can seem like magic, so there is magic, but there's no magic, there's science. But I don't bring up things like religion and all that on the razor's edge because deep time, nothing can survive deep time in concepts. And no matter how spiritual you may be, no matter what your spiritual thoughts are, I've got my own spiritual thoughts. I know plenty of people that have their own. As many people have pointed out, if something happened right now, and all evidence of every single religion was wiped off the face of the planet, but humanity was here, we would come up with new gods and new myths, but they would not be the same as all the previous ones that existed. Whereas with science, you wipe out all science, we're going to figure this all out again, and it'll be exactly the same as it was. Concepts do not survive deep time. There is no spirituality, no religion, no civilization, no financial thoughts, no economics, nothing that survives the 2 billion years of the time of plenty and the time of want. Nothing can survive that much time. And this isn't even deep, deep time. That's just 2 billion years. What on earth could survive that? Nothing. So yeah, deep time on the razor's edge isn't as deep as you would think, but it is 2 billion years. Actually, that's a little bit more, because during the time of torpor, when there is no intelligence being emitted to stabilize the region, it takes about 750 million years for everything to fade out into just undifferentiated possibility. So it's like 2.5 billion years that the things are there, and then it's all gone with only 2 things that remain: the kaiju and the Apple Rock Mountain. Now, as for the project, I am not using this as a straight narrative. It is a slice of life. One of the things I've been having issues with is how to start it until I remembered it's a slice of life. It is not a direct narrative. So the first chapter is going to be a mix of, there's the bad and the good. You know, the bad is like the sheriff, and there's, other people are having horrible things happen, and people are getting mangled and such, mixed with things like, hey, over at the Pine Bluff, Ash Pine Bluffs, the little issues they're having. And over at Abernathy, they're pleased. They've just gotten the contracts and they're plowing fields. They're going to be on the map now because of the contracts with the Crimson Kingdom. They're like 3,200 people and they're going to be growing. And so they're really pushing things. And then after, The first chapter ends with this one fellow leaving his friends. He's had a good night with them all, and it's late. He's on his motorbike, and he's heading south out of Apple Rock toward his home. Chapter 2 starts, because it's slice of life and not a direct narrative, he's already crawling toward the kaiju. Right leg from his knee to his toes, mangled, could not walk on it if he wanted to. His belly feels ice cold. Pain in the chest. Fingers missing off of one hand. Half teeth gone. Maybe that one eye that's all swollen is still there, but maybe not. Crawling toward the kaiju, apologizing for wanting to live, begging for the pain to stop. He'll bleed on the kaiju. Just please stop hurting me and just let me die. And then he does bleed on the kaiju. And chapter 2 starts with that, with him leaning back after the kaiju unfolds and then looks down upon him and then turns and heads down into the city as the gas main explosions start and the city goes black. And I've opened up 24 hours worth of comments in my community tab. Gonna go through and thank however many people have left me comments in the past 24 hours. Ain't much, but anything more than 0 is awesome. Thank each and every one of you. If I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended. And even though I count American Sign Language, well, my depression, fibro, where I am on the autism spectrum, and all sorts of things, oy vey. So, let me call up my Chrome. I can't remember if I said that properly, but Jesse Koskinen, thank you very, very much, and it's always good to see you in the comments. Greatly appreciated. Dan Baxter, thumbs up. Latitude, greatly appreciated. Confused Owl 29, oh boy, I'm going to be able to eat? I'm going to be able to buy a few things to keep myself, alive and entertained. Yeah, even just $100 a month, that helps so much right now. And good to see you in the comments. Francisco Valdez, thumbs up and thank you. And glad you're back. Roach, thumbs up, and it is a good game. Definitely a thumbs up. Psycho Jazz, greatly appreciated. We have the Fisher King, thumbs up. Conspo Lopez, hey, Iron Sworn is pretty cool. Definitely check it out. And then we have Nando Rice Cheruti. It is good to see you in the comments again. Thumbs up. Jay with a double Y. I hope that there is a humanity in the future where they can look back on us and go, boy, how silly they were. That'd be awesome. Ben B, thumbs up and thank you. Flora Mew, good to see you in the comments. And that is it. 12 people who left me comments in the past 24 hours. You got me out of my head, into the world, dealing with real people, if only in text, if only for a short time. Thumbs up and thank you. And hey, of course, with my hands in the air, don't know what device you're watching this on, but I don't know what sign this is supposed to mean for what I'm trying to say, but in the video description, to show more, there are links to all of my various channels, as well as my Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and again, I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. These literally beautiful and awesome people, again, are literally beautiful and awesome. I mean, honestly, I have been sinking beneath the waves of financial disaster for quite some time, and without these people's help, I would have sunk and just drowned a long time ago. I don't know how long I should be keeping my hands in the air. My wrist hurt because of my carpal tunnel, so thumbs up on that, but thank you each and every one of these beautiful and awesome people. If you'd like to help me out without becoming a patron, I do have a PayPal link, and I am hurting this month. Next month is going to be a little better, but if you can help me out this month, that'd be very awesome. If you'd like to help me out without sending money, I do have an Amazon wishlist link with stuff like cat food on it, so if you could check that out, but that would be very cool. Now, don't feel obligated. Excuse me. I don't feel entitled, and if you can't or you don't donate, I take all good wishes and I deposit them in the bank of my heart where I draw interest, so thank you very much. If you could toss me a like, appreciate all the positive validation I get from my existence, and of course, if you could hit the notification bell on the subscription button, that would be very cool. A definite thumbs up on that. Hokey smokes. Am I going to get anything done today? Phone call wise or otherwise? Not sure. Probably not. Maybe. I hope so. But if I don't, then I don't. I'm doing the best that I can. And that's all the best that I can do. Hopefully you can get done the things that you need to get done. And that would be cool as well. Definitely a thumbs up on that. And of course, with the Covfefe bug a-raging, please just be careful. I'm not going to preach to you. You know what you have to do. You know what the science is, and if you're smart, you'll pay attention to the science, because otherwise, you're going to get it and spread it. And those people that haven't been taking precautions usually don't take it very well. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and quite frankly, that is a very good thing.